Well, I'm surprised this one's taken as long as it has. We're doing France, finally, which is a bit of a surprise because this team is surely going to be one of the favourites going into the tournament, whether that be through the bookies or just general opinion. One of my favourites to win the tournament as well. That's not really a controversial statement at all. There's something about France that make them not quite as much favourites as I think they've been in previous years. In the last year, as they very disappointingly went out in either the last 16 or the quarterfinals to Switzerland on penalties. Mbappe not really delivering in that tournament. Since then, they've gotten to the final of a World Cup, produced one of the best World Cup final performances for a losing team I've ever seen in my life, contributing to one of the greatest finals I've ever seen in my life. And it feels like the new generation of France coming in now. That midfield of N'Golo Kante, Pogba, Matuidi is gone. I mean, Kante's still there, but what part he'll play in the main tournament, I don't know. He started both friendly games, so maybe I'm just chatting crap with that. The defence is changing and evolving, and Olivier Giroud will be playing his last tournament for France as the striker, should he even be starting, which I'm not convinced he will. So this, I guess, will give us an insight into where France go going forward, and if Deschamps is the manager going forward, because there's still a lot of rumour and speculation about that, and you have to think a poor tournament maybe could see the time for a change coming soon. But, as always, in possession. They're happily building up in these deeper areas, but they are also happy going long with the ball. So let's just say if the opponents stand off here and they're in a more compact mid-shape, as I'll just organise them into now, then one of their methods of attack will be the long ball into the run of Mbappe, who will be playing on the left-hand side, you think, to make that run from in to out, or out to in rather, just that long ball over the top into the space in behind. We know that is Mbappe's major skill, as that quick bit of acceleration, that threat in behind, and his ability to bring the ball under control from it looping over the top of him. They've also got pace in the opposite wide area with Ousmane Dembélé, who could be playing there. They have Bradley Barcola, who's looked really good in the two warm-up games, albeit in a more cameo-esque role. I don't think he starts the tournament, but he's a player that could very well play himself into it. And also they have the aerial threat of, if it's Olivier Giroud, Marcus Thuram is a good target, and again a good player for getting in behind, running the channels to collect those loose balls, and is also a really good hold-up player and link-up player, as is shown from his time at Inter Milan, playing with Lautaro Martinez. Mbappe can make those sort of similar runs off of him that Lautaro Martinez does, and Thuram is as good a creator as he is an attacker, and so I think he could be the perfect balance to what Mbappe will give you in that attack. The only issue is I felt like he was given that chance in the first game, and he was really, really bad. He was so poor, Marcus Thuram. Hopefully it was just a case of warm-up game not having the intensity, but that was a really disappointing performance for a mix that I think could work really well. So they're comfortable going in long, direct over the top, and the midfielders can drop in and launch that pass. They don't have the Paul Pogba that they used to, so they lack a direct midfield passer. You have Antoine Griezmann, who can come in deeper to collect the ball, who will be playing in the attacking midfield role to use his playmaking and passing abilities to create from these areas, can turn it into a bit of a midfield three at points, and especially when the left back pushes up into this area here, turns it into a bit of a 3-4-3. The shape is a bit flexible in that regard, and he can then use his abilities to link up with the right winger, let's say it's Ousmane Dembélé, and combine with him and attack down the right flank. Kingsley Coman is another option in that position as well. Great pace, great quality on the ball, and another threat when they want to hit teams quickly. And generally you'll see Griezmann attacking these areas here. He's got a bit more of a free role and combines well with the right winger. But in that centre-back pairing, where it looks like it'll be Upamecano with either Konate or Saliba, I think Upamecano was the worst out of those three, but he seems to be favoured by Deschamps, so he may be the one that's starting. And I will give him, he's got great recovery pace, and if he's going to be dealing on that side with a left back that pushes forward and attacks, then that may be necessary in that position. Right centre back, it'll be between Saliba and Ibrahima Konate. The reason I think he may go Ibrahima Konate is he's got such a good long direct ping from back to front to set the attackers on their way. Saliba is a better defender, not as good as a passer, and if Upamecano's job is to cover the space in behind, then that may lessen Saliba's role within this team. Again, I'd start Saliba over Upamecano. But in offence, Konate offering that is a huge asset to the team, and when the French do push forward and they're using their quality to good effect, this is what they'll end up looking like. So it's a bit of an isometric shape for France in this more attacking area, with Koundé pushing into sort of a traditional right-back position, with the two centre-backs staying as you would expect them to, split, and the two holding midfielders showing for the ball in these areas, and they'll drop in and find angles in between centre-backs, in between the centre-back and full-back, to get on the ball and try and play it through that opposition press, and they'll stagger themselves as well, so you'll find them in this type of position. And the reason teams do that, and the reason players in these positions do that, is because if you can split the striking two or the midfield two, wherever they're playing, into this area, then it perhaps creates an angle for this player on the ball to fire a ball through them into a player that could drop deep. And if this guy can get on the ball here, turn, he's got an easy pass into a player showing for it down that side. So that's why it's to just try and manipulate the opponent's shape to create an angle. But they will do that. Then you'll also get in this position either Griezmann or the right winger showing for the ball in here. Typically it'll be Griezmann because you want him on the ball to try and make opportunities. So even if he pulls out wide here, you'll get Dembele dropping into this area here. And both of them are good sort of interchanging and interplaying. Comfortable in the half space and out wide is Dembele, which is what probably gives him the edge over the other right wingers in France's squad. And what you'd normally expect from the opposite side is Mbappe playing a bit more reserved in the half space, but he won't. He'll stay almost as a striker position in between fullback and centre back, and he will constantly be probing these runs in behind. So I'll just move the midfield across because that is going to be important for this scenario. So with Mbappe constantly searching for that direct run, the right back is occupied, he can't get out, and as a result that leaves a lot of space for Theo Hernandez to receive the ball in this wide area. He can either attack down this side, or because of the fact that Mbappe and Olivier Giroud or Marcus Thuram is making those direct movements, dragging the defence back, he can turn inside and attack the space laterally to create from there. And it's a good thing because in Theo Hernandez they've got a fantastic creative option from wide areas and central. He's a fullback that's very technically capable of taking the ball in the central areas of the pitch and creating from there. And he can work well with Mbappe if Mbappe stays wide and they're building up through the left, that Theo can drop in a little bit deeper to receive the ball and move it into the half space. So it's a really good combination between the two to get Mbappe into this position here where Theo Hernandez can occupy the fullback and give Mbappe more room to attack down this area of the pitch, which he loves to do, and create chances that way for Giroud or a player arriving at the back post. So it is massively built towards getting Mbappe on the ball, and with Barcola they've shown that they have an option out wide in terms of a 1v1 threat to create from that area if they want to push Mbappe into the striking option, where again he won't really get involved in build-up play as a striker. It will just be as a goal-scoring option in that central area. If he's playing at left wing, then he could drop in a bit to receive the ball in these deeper areas, pushing the left back on to take care of a marker and just use his fantastic dribbling ability to run straight at the heart of the opposition's defence. So they have threats out on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, where they can harm teams, and they're not afraid of going long. They can play short between the lines. They've got players capable of playing within that system, and in these areas as well, when they're trying to sustain attacking periods in the bottom half, the right centre midfielder can produce overlapping late runs to contribute, and N'Golo Kante's done it in the warm-up games, just to get on the end of things, maybe pullbacks to the edge of the box for crosses from the left back or whoever, to just provide another option. And as we've seen in tournaments gone by, the striker's going to have to do a lot of selfless work. It was at the World Cup where they won it, where Giroud didn't have a shot on goal or a goal or whatever it was, but he was still just as important because of his direct threat from the back, that he could hold the ball up and play the more creative and technical players in, whether that's finding Mbappe in behind or Pogba with the short pass who could then play it to Mbappe. So the striker is going to be doing thankless roles and thankless tasks in this team, but with the idea of serving the greater purpose is going to be completely necessary. But now we're going to go over France at possession. Now France sit deep, low block, played Canada the other night and they sat off of them, and if you're going to sit off of Canada, you're going to sit off of any team in the national landscape really. No offence to Canadians, but I think you can accept where your team is. And it's a very passive press. It'll be the front two just sort of trying to guard the passing lanes into the central areas. They'll also be backed up by the press of the winger into these areas. So let's say if the opposition are building with a three back and they try and progress the ball over here, you'll maybe get the right winger squeezing up alongside the two attackers to prevent it from going into that side. And if this guy drops deep to create an option, the fullback will go with him, and again just try and prevent that option from becoming a dangerous situation for him. Similar to the other side as well, left winger will back up that press. Generally, you'll have Griezmann dropping into the midfield if Mbappe's playing left wing in these areas, pushing this guy along, and having Mbappe join the front two. One, because Mbappe's not great off the ball. Two, you want him further up the pitch if France win the ball back, especially in those deeper areas, because of his ability to get in behind and attack on the break. The counter-attack is an important weapon for France, as I was saying before. They're great direct and will use that when they need to, and having Mbappe as your threat when you're in that transitional stage is as good a weapon as you can ask for. Very good aerially dominant centre-backs of France as well. In Tchouaméni and Fofana, they have two really good holding midfielders that can cover this area of the pitch and prevent the aerial threat really well. Saliba's a fantastic centre-back. Konate is the aerial threat to play in a high line. Upamecano's got the recovery pace and behind. So there's different sort of physical skill sets within that. And also fullbacks that are very capable of reading the long diagonals into the wide areas. So let's say if the left back tries to switch it into this guy here, left back will be alert, get out to him and try and prevent him from playing down that side, having to force him back. And then the opposition recycle their possession and France can get back into shape. Same for the other side. So just as strong as they've ever been, Deschamps, is just whether the declining quality and the new blood coming in can step up to the expectation needed to go and win the tournament. It remains to be seen. They're going to be there and thereabouts. It's semi-final minimum for me, France. That's just kind of the level they've gotten to, but I can't wait to see it and find out. Cheers, lads, for watching. In a bit.